wherever you are. Welcome to Let's Play Games. I'm John McFarland, Adult Services Librarian for Nashville Public Libraries, and today we're going to cover one of the most time-effective things you can do with a deck of cards, Klondike Solitaire. Let's get stuck in. You have to have a starting point if you're going to play a card game. A deck of cards. And if you really haven't dealt with card decks before, no time to learn like the present. So we've kind of going over the history of cards and how they're formed, but let's look at sort of how the modern day format is. For most of the games that we're going to play, there are two Joker cards. They are pretty useful as it plays to other games, but we're not going to need them for this, so we're just going to put them off to the side. So we have our modern deck of, let's get this all set up, 4 suits. And that is going to be our, whoop, almost went too far past it. Hearts, diamonds, spades, because it looks like a little shovel, and clubs. So we have these 4 suits, and inside each of these 4 suits, we have 14 total cards. So we have these are our court cards because they're king, queen, and jack. So put these kind of over here for a second, and then we start counting down. You will see that each of them has a little number associated with. They didn't always used to have that. We're going to go a little off the table here for fun. But we start from, we don't have a 1. We have our ace, which is, it's technically correct for grammatical reasons. Ace is 1. Easiest way to remember that. In certain games, it's going to have an outsized importance either at the end or at the beginning. And it's going to vary game by game. So each of these suits has the same principle applied to it. And now let's get this all packed up. We need to also teach about one of the most important concepts in all of card decks, shuffling. Because a game can usually get pretty dull if all you're dealing with is the same format over and over again. If you're wanting to deal a hand of 5, and all of a sudden you have 5 cards in a row, in certain games, that's one of the best hands you can have. Kind of gets dull after a while. So in order to make it a bit more random and a bit more enjoyable to play, well, replay value, I am going to split up the deck. Put one in the left hand, one in the right. This is known as cutting the deck. We're going to put it down right here. And this takes a little bit of practice. So I'm going to hold up with my thumb both sides and then slowly allow each of them to come down. So you can see it both from up top and right here. There's a little V shape I've made here. But notice it's kind of mixed in. So now we're going to just scooch those in. So now let's look at how our deck looks. Well, we have this ace and the 2 that we saw, but now notice there's a few more cards mixed in. So now we needed a little bit more shuffled. We're going to do the same process again, and it doesn't have to be down the middle. It can be however you like. You're going to repeat that process over again. Notice I did it quickly because I'm used to it. My bad. Let's back up one more time. We're going to cut. We're going to put our thumbs, so you can probably see I've got a little resistance on my thumb there, and then just slowly right there. And then scooch it in. Now, if you're still learning how to do this, you can also do it in varying other ways. You can spread it out and shuffle it this way. Just make sure none of the cards come up. But if they come up, that's fine. You just flip it back in, you put it about right here. You have no way of knowing where it is. But then you start bringing everything back together. Now, and you can see what the last card is here, but I cannot. And if you're playing a game, you may want to just hold it like this off to the side. And so now let's look at our deck. This ace is no longer here, so we've got a jack of clubs, a 3 of spades, a 10 of hearts, a king of hearts. So some of the stuff is a little close together, but the more you shuffle it, the more random it becomes. So from this point, what are we going to do next? I want to teach you about patience games, like I referred to before. This is a single player game. This is an easy way to entertain yourself because the game takes about 10 minutes per playthrough, depending on how much effort you're putting into it or how trapped you get. But take a brief little break and we will get all set up here in a moment. First, before we get into playing a playing card game, you probably want to know where playing cards even came from. You'd probably be surprised to find out they originated from China. The first mention that we really have of playing cards, and they're not printed out, they're on wood blocks, sort of like a screen printing, from the 9th century of China, where there is a reference to the leaf game. And each of these cards represented a denomination of coins. So a coin, a string of coin, a myriad of coins, and myriads of coins. So sort of like 1, 10, 100, 1,000. But that's the first instance we have of any playing card happening, but it didn't spread until later. More on that in a bit. Now that we've gone over card decks, let's do a little bit of setup. So this game is referred to as Klondike, Solitaire. Some people just call it Solitaire, but in general, I'm going to be referring to the same thing here. I'll use Solitaire for description, but just know that encompasses a wide range of games. So this one's actually pretty easy to set up. You don't need terribly much space for it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go from right to left and create some piles. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 we are going to place face up. So this is our sort of initial range, and I would strongly suggest leaving up here room for some collection, because the point of this game is going to be making piles from ace all the way through the king card in each suit. But it's not as easy as it looks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves, it'll look like a little triangle or a folded handkerchief if you do it right. So we're going to place it right here just under. Some people like covering it up. If you don't have a lot of space, you can just cover it up. Just kind of remember where you are. But we will have it right here. And so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to flip over 6. So, like I said before, king is the end of the process, but we are going to go ahead on to our 3rd row, our 4th row, our 5th row, our 6th row, and the last one we will just easily flip up. So what do you do with what's left? Well, what we're gonna do is we are gonna place it either right here or place it right here, depending on how much you feel like reaching over. Some people play a little further away, but we're just gonna have it probably right here because I don't anticipate us getting this far. If we do, I'll move it, I promise. Now that we've got our game set up, we need to look and see how we collect all of these cards together. But we want to see what we can do here before we even draw a card. Well, remember how I told you about the collection piles that can come up here? It starts with an ace. We have an ace right here. So what we can do is we can take from here, collect it up, and because this card is now free, flip it over. the next building block of this collection pile, you're going to count up ace all the way through king. So we need a 2 of hearts. We're lucky enough that we start with the 2 of hearts here. So we are just going to place it on top. And we'll get to flip another. So seeming pretty easy so far, right? Let's add a little bit more complexity to it. What we now want to see is in building piles to free up more spaces, because if we can free up all of these cards here, then we will most assuredly win a round of solitaire. So we're looking for alternate colors. So either going from black to red or red to black. And you can do it with just about any card along the pathway, but one of the easiest things to free up is the king is the only thing that can go onto blank spots. So if you have a free open space, you can put only a king card there. But we'll be able to free a little bit more by this queen of clubs. The suit itself doesn't matter, it's just the color that we're looking for. Placing it on top of there, and we'll flip another card. Now we've got a jack here, but it's the same suit, same color. We can't touch that. What else do we have left? Well, we've got a little 7 over here that's actually able to go on this 8. And we can make a decision here. You can either move this one and place it on this free space, or move this king and place it on this free space. I think I'm going to free up a card over on this row. Just from a mental strategy standpoint, I want to free up as much of this as possible, because who knows what's here? It could be an ace. It could be the exact card you need. This could be an ace. This could be the exact card you need. It's just that decision you make in a round. So I don't see any more options here. So we are going to draw our first card. Just draw one card. You can just put it in front of yourself. We've got the 3 of hearts. Place it on top. Now we're looking for a 4 of hearts. Well, that's lucky. 4 of hearts. 5 of hearts. 6. Wait a minute. 7. 8. Oh boy. You know what I didn't do? Didn't do something essential. Didn't listen to my own advice. Didn't shuffle the deck, did I? Well, oh boy, we're gonna run into some problems here. So, well, the good news, we've completed ourselves a set all the way ace through king. So hey, we're doing good. We really didn't shuffle, did we? So, oh, let's see. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and... Well, the good news, we have completed 2 whole collection areas. The bad news, there's still cards here. So the game can end one of 2 ways. Either everything is into its respective collections in each of its suits, or you run out of moves. What we've done here is we've run out of moves. Just to highlight one of 2 things. Always shuffle your deck before starting. You can't win off of an unshuffled deck. Also, think about the moves that you make. So I'm going to back up and actually shuffle a deck here for you, and then we'll show how you can actually win a game of solitaire. So we talked about its origination in China. Now we're going to move a little bit to the west. We're going to talk about Egypt and sort of the Arabic Peninsula, specifically the Mamluks, which started printing off cards in a similar format in the 11th century that actually had different suits for the first time. And there were 3 suits the swords and the coins. So that coins stayed, we added the swords and added some sort of stick or leaf depending on which different production you had. And you had them in simple 1 through 9, so they were referred to as pip cards, as they would have the specific numbers on them. We also see the first introduction of the court card with the king and the vizier. And it continues to spread over time, but again, more on that in a minute. So now that we have learned our lesson and properly shuffled and dealt out, I went ahead and skipped that process. Let's start and actually try and play for real this time. So this time we've got a little more of difficulty here. No aces to start off, but we've got some 2s, which are a little more easily movable. But we've at least got the 10 of clubs and the 9 of hearts, which is alternating. So we're just going to go ahead and stack on top of that and flip. Well, that's a queen. Okay, that's not a bad start. We won't be able to use that with this 10 here, because after a while, when you've learned to play the game, you can sort of start counting down odd, even, and look for what colors you're needing. But that comes with time. So we've got ourselves a 4, which will be helpful for this, because the 2 will match the 4. But we know now that we're going to need a black 3 in order to stack on top of that. But we can put it on this black 5 here for now. So we've got a good starting point. This king right here, some people will search around for the color that they want, because right now, if there's a black king in here, I could use that and free up another space, but we're gonna play it like this today and hope for the best. Hey, look, another ace. I promise, I shuffled this time. This is luck. So now we've got our 2 here, so our second collection. We're doing not bad. Now, one of the important things is if I get up to the 4 of spades here, I can't use this until it is completely clear. So this is the last level of difficulty here for you, where if it's not free, you can't use it. So we've got to hope for the best. Here's our other queen. That's good to know. Eight, no help again. Here is the black queen. Now, what I like doing is anywhere that is completely free, so that way I don't have to worry about it later, I'm just gonna place it over here. So typically, as we get towards the end of a game, we will find that we're trying to create as many of these free piles as possible. So let's keep on going. 2, which if we find the ace, that'll be helpful to know that's there. Let's think here. And you gotta try and kind of remember, I'm gonna do something you don't normally do, is think back to what cards have already been drawn. And think about what cards you're looking for, what's already been drawn, and what you might need alternating colors-wise. So this isn't looking too good. Think we may be out of luck, but what you can do is, when you get to the bottom, there's some people who play where you get one shot and that's it. We're not gonna hold ourselves to that kind of standard, because that's just a little bit too much stress. We've got the 6 here. I think once again, stuck myself into a corner. So sadly, this round is also out. Give us one quick second to get reset up, because I do want to show you how a game ends. So hold on one second, be right back. Spreading a little further to the west. And we find out that the first instance of playing cards in Europe was in Germany in the 13th century. And of course, it's describing how it was banned. All playing cards were banned in the city in Germany. That's the first instance we have of playing cards in Europe. But we see their spread come pretty quickly as we start seeing more effective printing press style services as we start seeing the Gutenberg Bible around this point, which meant that we started seeing cards everywhere, all across Europe. And I've got some more details about that, but I'll make sure to cover that next time. It took me a second, took me a couple more shuffles, not that I got frustrated or anything. So where we're at now is we are about to win this game. Thank goodness. Because we have 4 distinct piles of king through a certain number. We've got some free piles here, so the last thing we need is this card right here to be flipped over, and then we have guaranteed ourselves a win. So where are we at now? We've got ourselves pretty far along on these piles, and we've got everything pretty much set to go. So we're going to do this, and this, and this, and this, and these 2, because at this point, that frees up our 9, which means we can flip over here. The last card we needed was the 8 of diamonds. Now it's flipped over. Some people will like to just go ahead and collect from here because they know they've won, but let's go ahead and celebrate our little accomplishment by creating all of these stacks. And once you get to this point, and you don't have to do the kings out of a particular order, at the moment you can finish a pile, finish a pile. That's one of the most important parts. So this means we now have 4 collected piles of ace through king. And you can stack them a little more orderly. And there you go. That is a game or 2 of Solitaire. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we will discover how to play with more than one deck. If you have it on hand, be ready for that. Be sure to let us know in the comments what games you might like to see next. You may see them before you know it. Also, check out our NPL Universe slate of programming on our website. See you next time.